Welcome to all Caribbean entrepreneurs. If you've been ready and waiting to take your business digital and get paid online while you sip something strong on the beach, this podcast is for you. We'll hear from the Caribbean's finest entrepreneurs on topics like e-commerce, business development, brand building, social media, their wins and failures. This is the only place in the region helping you navigate the digital age from the Caribbean's perspective. This is Digipreneur FM. And now, let's give it up for the Digiboss himself, Mr. Karan Rose.
Yo, thank you to everybody tuning in to another episode of the Digipreneur FM podcast. And as usual, it is your boy, Mr. Rose. DJ, can you do what you gotta do and fade us all the way out? Fade us all the way out because we gotta talk to the people. We got episode number 157. It is March 27th, 2024. How are you lovely people doing on this fine Wednesday? It's hump day. How are you fine people doing on this lovely Wednesday? Now, we got Easter weekend coming up, all right? I hope you guys have your plans. I hope for those who need to relax, rest, and restore, I hope you do that. For those of you who can't shut off, I hope you have a bottle of wine and you get to work and you put all those crazy ideas you have in your head, get them out on a pen and paper, get them out in your notes, go ahead and tinker, get those things out there. I think for me, this weekend will definitely be a weekend of tinkering. I like these long weekends where I know no one's going to be working. And I like them because I know no one's going to be bothering me. So I can kind of do some things that I would like to work on for my platforms. And I don't have to worry about anybody else's work or anybody else bothering me or anybody looking to jump on a call, or I don't got to worry about none of that. So for me, this is going to be a weekend of tinkering and experimenting without any bother from anybody. So if you need your rest, most definitely take your rest, know your limits. And that's one thing about this journey of entrepreneurship. I think one of the most important aspects of it is know when you need rest and rest when you need it. And if you feel like you can press and you feel like you could put pedal to the metal, all gas, no brakes, then you go right ahead. There's no one way to do this, but most definitely know your limits, take your rest if you need it. And again, if you're somebody where this is a weekend where you are ready to press, you're ready to pump, you're ready to tinker, you're ready to experiment and do your thing, go ahead and do it. This long weekend is a great time where, again, nobody is going to be bothering you for additional work. Hopefully no one's bothering you for additional work. But I hope you get that time to just, do what you got to do. All right, that's really going to be me this weekend. I got some things I need to roll out on my platforms, on my websites that I need to get out there. And it'll be a weekend of doing that. I think one of the things that I want to do of interest, and I'm saying this because it's probably going to be of interest to you, is this weekend one of the things I'm going to be tinkering with is I want to add ChatGPT chatbot to my website. Even if I don't get it out by the end of the weekend, I want to go through the process of learning the integration, seeing exactly how it works, experimenting and playing with it, because the way I am envisioning it, I've seen a number of people doing it, or at least talking about it. And the way I envision it is because my website has become such a repository for things, all things online business for the region. The way I envision it working is because the ChatGPT plugin will have my website and all of the information at its disposal. How I see it working is you come on the website, you ask the chatbot, hey, what do I need to create a Wise account? And it can pull from all of the data on my website and give you the direct answer. So if you want to read the entire articles or watch the videos or listen to the podcast, great. But then when you want a direct answer, usually people would jump in my DMs for that. And then my DMs get flooded with a whole heap of things that I've already covered, which, is not always a problem. But the bigger you grow, the more requests you get. And then it just takes time in between doing everything, right? So if I can add the ChatGPT plugin to my website, where now you can interact with it like you would be interacting with me in my DMs, and you can ask a question, and it's going to pull from all of my data sets from my platform and give you the information you want, that works out better for everybody, all right? And then it also incentivizes me, because one of the things, even on my end, I realized I need to get better at. I shouldn't say get better at that, but that's not really the word. But one of the things I need to start back doing is I would be creating all of this content for all of these platforms, for my podcast, for YouTube, social media, the media houses, because I write for Jamaica Observer and Trinidad and Tobago Newsday. I'd be creating all these platforms, and there are times where I don't come back to put the website back on my website, all right? And having the ChatGPT plugin on my website will 100% ensure that all the pieces of content I put out, I get back on my website, because ChatGPT is even better when you're giving it the data. So the more data, the more content that I give my website that ChatGPT has to work with, then the better the answers are going to be, the more it can talk to you and interact with you about all things digital business in the Caribbean, all right? So that's one of the things that I'm going to work on this weekend, and I'm really excited to get that done, because now, like I said, if rather than you always having to come to me in the DMs, you could go and interact with the chatbot and ask all the questions you need. And again, if it works the way that I'm seeing it work, or it works the way that I'm hoping it's supposed to work, then you would get all of the information just like how you would be interacting with me in a DM conversation. And it will answer all of your questions to your heart's content, because, usually, I don't think I've ever said this out loud, but usually by question number 3, I'm already like, leave me alone. I joke. Usually by question number 3, I'm ready to give you the invoice, because now we're getting into, by the 3rd and 4th question, you're usually at that point in time, people need a lot more assistance than a DM conversation is going to allow. All right. And that's really where my thought process is. 1, 2 questions, no problem. And usually the 1 or 2 questions people ask, 9 out of 10 times, I am just giving them a link to an article that I've already written that answers all of the question, or I'm sending them the link to a video that answers the exact question that they have asked me in the DMs, right? So that's really the purpose of why I say, usually by the 3rd and 4th question, it's usually an invoice time, because you're asking things that are going to require me to learn more about you, learn your business, and provide a very specific solution to you, right? That 1 or 2 questions is usually already answered in a link, in an article I've done or a video I've done, and I just send those things out, because you'll get more details of what you're looking for than I'm going to give you in a short DM, right? And I understand that people have questions. They have a lot of questions. So I don't mind creating content. I would rather create content around things that people have asked than then sit in my DMs and respond to questions. Because that way, at least if I get the content out, I'm speaking to many people versus it takes a lot of time and energy to do one-on-one conversations. So again, I'm trying to do what I can to help better the work I do with the public. So now if I could integrate the ChatGPT plugin into my platform and you could ask it a million questions, you get a virtual version of me with all of the information from my platform. And I think that'll work well for everybody. All right. And then people don't message me and tell me, oh, what about the people who are not tech savvy? Typically, if you're not tech savvy, 9 out of 10 times you're not really listening to me. Like, you know, we talk all things digital, right? So you have to at least have some form of tech savviness if you're tuned into this podcast, right? Most people are going to be tech savvy enough that they could go onto a website and talk to my virtual ChatGPT avatar. And if you're not, chances are you're probably not really taking me in anyway. So, you know, it is what it is. Anyways, oh my, excuse me. I feel like I had to clear my throat. Shucks. So what are we dealing with today? Today, we are going to be talking about where to start your content creation journey for your business. Where to start your content creation journey for your business. Now, I do not anticipate this being one of my longer episodes. I think this is going to be very direct and to the point. But nonetheless, the reason why I wanted to touch on this, where to start your content creation journey for your business, is because I think people are feeling very overwhelmed with a lot of the things that they see out there and a lot of the advice that they're getting, right? And where the feeling of overwhelm comes for a multitude of reasons. I won't get into the psychology of it, but I think the overwhelming feeling comes from the main form of advice that people are hearing and seeing out there is that in order to start doing content creation, you got to start making video, everything. That's all people keep hearing. Video. And people are feeling like, yo, but I don't want to do video. For whatever their reason is. It could be they're afraid, could be they're ashamed, could be because they don't want to put their face out there just yet on video. You know, whatever the reason is, right? And that's why I said I don't want to get into the psychology of it. You know, maybe we talk to a psychologist and we start talking to people about building confidence on video. Heck, matter of fact, if you want to build confidence on video, go check out Zaylee Barkley. She has a whole course called Brave on Video. I believe it's called Brave on Video. Let me just double check it. Yeah, so jump on Instagram and type in Brave on Video. And it's Brave on Video by Zaylee Barkley, where she teaches entrepreneurs, leaders, and professionals to master the camera, overcome camera shyness, and ditch the fear of being seen. All right, so that is Brave on Video. Go check it out on Instagram. That's with Zaylee Barkley. If you don't know who Zaylee is one of the top marketers in the world. She also happens to be Trini as well. All right, so go check her out, Brave on Video. And you could also go and check out her page, Zaylee Barkley, XAYLI BARCLAY, Zaylee Barkley. Go check out her page. And then go check out Brave on Video, all right? But yeah, so people are feeling overwhelmed about the fact that, you know, they're feeding, and I think Zaylee just pointed it out, being seen. Video makes people feel seen. Now, that's the point, right? But people don't always want to feel seen, and video really shows the world who you are, right? And a lot of people are not ready to be seen, and they're not ready to put their face on video, right? And that's causing a lot of people to feel overwhelmed. Usually when I'm working with entrepreneurs or businesses. Worse than businesses, because the bigger the business, when you start telling people, yo, we got to get some video content done, everybody starts looking around the room like, who's going to go on video? Because none of us are going to go on video, right? And that's always a big internal struggle when you're working with a lot of the bigger organizations. And yeah, it's a cause for debate, and it's a question I get asked all the time. Do we have to do video? Do we have to do video? Do we have to do video? The reason why people tell you that you got to do video is because social media requires you to do video, because the top performing content on social media is typically going to be video. Now, here's the thing, right? I think people forget there's an asterisk to that. The top performing content on social media is good video. I think we skip across that part, right? There's a lot of bad video content. There's a lot of people forcing themselves to be on video, and it's not good. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but a lot of people cannot create good video. So just because you decided to do a video and put it on social media doesn't mean that it was done well, and does not mean that it's going to help your business. Matter of fact, it can hurt your business, right? So because social media, the top performing content on social media is video content, that is why everybody is telling you, all the social media experts, all the business, people are telling you video. But that might not be the best thing for you, right? That might not be the best thing for you, because there is such a thing as bad video, and bad video is not going to help you. You'll get better over time, because not everybody is going to be, most people are not good starting out, but that doesn't mean that you have to start with bad video, right, in your content creation journey, right? This episode is all about where should you start when you're now starting to create content. So here's the advice that I give to everybody. Now, keep in mind, I am creating content on every medium, from audio, naturally, because we're listening to the podcast, to written, because I blog, I write for the media houses, and I do video with social media video, I'm on TV, so I do everything, right? My advice is think about where your comfort zone is. Do you like to write? Do you think you can jump on a mic and talk with no video and start a podcast? Or do you think you're willing to do video? Take some time to think about where you would be most comfortable. Would you be most comfortable writing? Would you be most comfortable in an audio format? Would you be most comfortable in a video format? When you decide where you're comfortable, that is where you're going to start. That's the starting point. When I started, you weren't getting me to do video. I'll say that. You weren't getting me to do video when I started out. I didn't like the way I sounded. I felt like you had to be too perfect for video, and video was too unforgiving, and I would need to take this is how I felt, right? I felt like video was way too unforgiving. I felt like I needed too many takes to do what it is that I wanted to say, or I wouldn't say what I wanted to say because I'd be too worried about being politically correct and blah, blah, blah. This is when I had my smartphone business, Droid Island, right? And so video just became overwhelming, right? So I started with blogging, because blogging allowed me to take my time to put all of my thoughts out there. And the blogs got a lot of traction because, remember, when we're thinking about content marketing and digital strategy, everything has a place. Blogging has a place, audio, podcasting has a place, video has a place, and they all show up in a wide variety of places online, right? So I started to write because it allowed me to I could play music, close my doors, and it allowed me to just get my thoughts out there. And if I did not like something, I could always change it. I'd read it back. I don't like this, I don't like that, make changes. When I posted it, I could have always gone back in and made edits. So it didn't ever feel like, like you can't go back and edit video, right? You can't go back and edit video. You can actually go back and edit podcasts because you could re-upload the files and it'll just replace the file that it has in place for that episode. So you can actually go back and edit the podcast, right? But you can't go back and edit video. You'd have to just create another video and delete the old one if it was that bad. But with articles, with blogs, you could edit at any point in time. So I would play my music, I'd light a candle, drink some wine, I would get myself in the most comfortable mood, and I would just write. And then I got accustomed to writing where, I was banging out, like, especially for Droid Island. The first 6 months, I was writing an article, pretty every day. And then when I started to get a little bit more busier, then it became like every other day. But I was dropping articles like Lil Wayne and 50 Cent dropping mixtape songs, right? I was just in the lab cooking and dropping articles. And that was my comfort zone. So I'm dropping all these articles. Remember, you could post articles on social media as well. Like, you can share the articles across multiple spaces online. So I'm sharing all my articles. The articles are getting traction. I'm getting calls from the media houses to do interviews, both on print and on TV and on radio. So I'm getting the traction just off of articles. Now, here's the thing, right? I just said it was getting me attention from media houses, and I did radio and TV and print, right? Starting with a platform I'm comfortable with, or starting with a medium I was comfortable with blogging, what that allowed in me was it built my confidence. It built my confidence that my voice. It gave me confidence in my voice. It gave me confidence in sharing my thoughts. It allowed me to be seen without having to turn on the video camera. Now, I had pictures. Like, I had some pictures of me that I would post at times with the content, right? Like, I did a couple of photo shoots as well. So I was still kind of putting myself out there with the written articles. Like, it would be like the blog image, right? So it just allowed me to get into this whole content creation thing on my terms and in the way that I was comfortable. So putting it out there, I'm getting the feedback, both good, both objective, where people would come on the content and we would have, good discourse in the comment section about phones and technology and that type of thing. So it allowed me to gain confidence in my voice and sharing my thoughts. So by the time the media houses started to call and said, hey, we want to have a conversation with you on TV, on radio, to me, my voice and my thoughts were already validated, that there is a space for what I have to say and what I'm showing, and it's getting traction online with the public. So it made it easier for me to sit down and do an interview. And even when I go back and I look at my very first TV interview, I chuckle because I'm like, I look so uptight. I look so uptight. tight. I'm in a button-up shirt. I'm in some dress pants. I'm in dress shoes. Oh man, like I gotta reshare that video. For my very first interview, I was like, wow, bro is uptight, you know? But I was able to do it and kind of get through it. And, after that first TV interview, I was like, okay, this wasn't so bad. But like I said, I had already built up the confidence in my voice to even come out here and speak to the public. And then by the time I did my first radio interview, that was cool. That was cool. That was different. It was cool. And then by the time I got my first feature in print on papers, I was already a little bit accustomed to, just putting my voice and my thoughts out there on a much bigger platform. So in doing all of this, by the time I said, you know what, let me start doing videos, again, I had the confidence because my thoughts and my voice were validated. Now it just got to the point of getting comfortable on video, right? Because when you're doing video, like I said, you're being seen. People get to see all your hand gestures, and I talk with my hands. People get to see your facial expressions. People can tell if you're nervous, because we're seeing you. But again, I had the confidence to do video at that point in time because I had already validated my voice. I had validated my thoughts. So it made it easier for me to start recording videos for the YouTube channel. And then I remember my very first attempt at a podcast. It was called the Droidcast. It might still even be up there. I actually know it is because I seen it the other day. When I did I got to listen to it back though. I never listened to it, but I did find it online, right? When I did the Droidcast, I did like 2 episodes. I had liked that too, and I felt it was a bit easier than doing video at the time because, again, with video, it's a whole thing. You gotta look presentable. You gotta dress up. You gotta make your shot look nice. Like I like podcasting because I'm like, oh wow, I could just get up and jump on the mic and talk what I gotta talk about, right? So even now, like I'm in my house slippers, some shorts, and an old hoodie, zipped up all the way up, and I'm just in my zone just talking to you. But if I were to pull out my video camera and turn that on, I would have had to have gone and look presentable. I might not have done it this early in the morning, so a lot of the times I like to record my episodes. Well, I know you guys know this by now, but I record my episodes anywhere between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. And whilst I don't have a problem doing that for podcasting, I don't want to be doing that for video, all right? I've seen my face. There's a couple of videos I've done early in the morning, and I'm like, bro, you look tired. You look like you just look like you just woke up. You look tired, right? You just look like you rolled out of bed. And usually with podcasting, that's exactly what happens, right? It's usually because I get up, I go drink some tea, and I bring my tea to my desk, and I turn on the equipment, and I get cracking, right? So video's a lot, right? So when you're starting out creating content for your business, you have to create content for your business. No ifs, ands, or buts. But don't let the advice that video, don't let that advice stop you and feel like that's the only thing you got to do. Because even on social media, if we're taking Instagram into account, and TikTok just rolled out this feature as well, but the second best performing content on Instagram and now on TikTok, I mean, TikTok doesn't give you much options, but they added this feature. The second best performing content on Instagram is carousels. And TikTok just added their carousel feature, and LinkedIn has their carousel feature as well. So you can take your thoughts and drop your carousels on IG. And there's a lot of accounts that are in the hundreds of thousands, and the only thing they do is carousel content. So again, you don't have to do video, right? You do not have to do video. You should do video, but my advice will always be, if you're not comfortable with being seen for whatever the reasons are, if you're not comfortable, then don't start there. Because what will happen is, if you feel like that's where you have to start, then it's going to take a lot longer for you to start doing video and then be consistent with video. All right? Especially because, a lot of the times too, when it comes to women will always talk about, hey, we got to look good, got to get a hair done, nails done, this, that, we got to look presentable, this, that, and the third. Listen, I don't have to go through all of that. I am bald, right? The only thing I got to do is comb my beard, but I feel you because I feel the same way. I feel the same way when I have to go on video. I feel like I have to look presentable. And not every day when I am ready to create my content do I want to look presentable. I just want to create my content, right? And that's why you'll get a lot of the blogs, you'll get consistent podcasts, but you won't there's weeks where I won't create video. Actually, no, that's not true anymore. I'm pretty consistent with video. But I create a lot more written content and podcast content than I do video. I'll say that, right? But you're always going to get a video from me at some point, all right? But I digress. Start where you are comfortable. Take the time to figure out, where is my comfort? What do I like to do? Do I like to write? Would I like to podcast? And then you're going to have those people, right? Because I've bumped into this. And you're going to have the people who say, but I don't like to do any of those things. I don't want to be on video. I don't like to write. I don't like the sound of my own voice. So here's my advice to you, right? You can record the audio. So you could open up your phone, jump on your computer if you have a mic, and record the audio. And then use a tool like Descript to transcribe the audio. So you now have a written document. You have it's transcribed, so all of your audio is converted to words. And then take the entire transcription and go to ChatGPT or go to Google Gemini and paste the transcription and tell the AI tool, turn this transcription into a blog article. And it'll spit you back a polished article. It might be like 90% good. And then you go through it, make sure you added whatever you got to add in. Remember, it's not making it for you. You are giving it your transcribed audio, and you're telling it to clean it up and turn it into an article for you. If you're not a big writer, right, you could voice your articles. So record your audio, transcribe it with Descript, take that transcription, throw it into ChatGPT and Google Gemini, and tell it to turn it into an article. It will. And then you review it, make sure it's good to go. Add what you have to add, take away what you have to take away, but you now have a written article for you to start. And that article will now allow you to have a blog. And if you don't have a website, that's fine. You can create an account on medium.com and put out all of your written content. You could then tell Google Gemini or ChatGPT, hey, turn this article into a 10-slide carousel for Instagram and LinkedIn. And then it's going to turn that entire thing into a 10-slide carousel, which you can then take the information and throw it into Canva to design your slides for your carousel. You see how that works? So even if you don't like to do video, if you don't like to write, if you don't like the sound of your voice, do that. Transcribe your audio, turn it into a written content, publish it on medium.com if you don't have your own website, and then tell Google Gemini, ChatGPT, turn this into a 10-slide carousel. Take the information from the 10 slides it's going to give you, and now jump on Canva and design your 10-slide carousel. and go and publish that. And do that until you start getting comfortable with putting your thoughts out there. Do that until you start to build your confidence. That's going to allow you to kind of dip your toe into the waters of being seen. And when you start to get that traction and you feel like you're ready for the next thing, then you could say, okay, what do you feel like doing at that point? Can you see yourself doing a podcast? Can you see yourself doing video? If you're a product business, what about shooting videos that don't require you to be on camera? Maybe just your voice. Showing people you working behind the scenes with just your hands. Like, there's tons of content creators that I follow and that are in the millions of subscribers who don't show their face. They just show their hands. One of my favorite reviewers, tech reviewers, Flossie Carter, doesn't show his face and he's been doing this a decade plus at the highest levels. Doesn't show his face. He does tech reviews with his cat on the table and just shows his hands. But he's so funny that we don't even need to see his face. So there are ways to do this. You just need to figure out, where do I start? And my advice is, start with where you are comfortable, because there's so many. There's 50 plus types of content that you can create. Learn about the different types of content to create and start. The three main ones are going to be video content, podcast or audio content, and written content like your articles. Those are the three main ones, right? Start where you feel you're going to be comfortable. Dip your toe in that water of being seen. Build your confidence in getting your thoughts out there, and then start to graduate from there. So for me, it was easy to go from blogs. I started to do some video content. Wasn't always consistent with it because I didn't like the way I was coming across on video. My confidence for video wasn't there yet. But then when I started to, add the voice element to that, and even now when I started my podcast in 2021, I was doing video content and everything for a while at that point, right? But I believe, like, even for me, since I started the podcast, it's allowed me to do video better. It's allowed me to do radio, and it's allowed me to be on TV and do that better. Because you can hear my voice. You can, if you've seen my face, you can kind of, you have a good idea as to my hand gestures. My hands are flying all over the place while I'm talking on the podcast. But like, you get an idea, you get a really good idea of me, the person, when you listen to the podcast. And so just in getting good and getting comfortable podcasting, it's given me even more confidence in all of the other things that I do, right? When I get on stage, stage doesn't bother me, whether it's 10 people or whether it's 500 people anymore, because I've just gotten so accustomed to putting my voice out there that, before I jump on a stage and I see a big crowd, I don't get stage fright, because I remind myself that, you have been putting your voice out there for years, and that's what got you to this point. They want to hear from you. And I get on stage and I have fun. But being on stage and giving myself that permission to have fun, that permission didn't happen as I was walking on the stage. That permission happened a long time ago. The permission that I've given myself to have fun on stage, that permission was given the day that I started to put my voice out there. The day I started to write my articles, I gave myself the permission to put myself out there and to have fun. I was having fun in my writing content. I would make sure and I would practice and consistently inject my personality into my writing, so it wasn't just like a straight up report when I was writing my content for my tech blog. But my permission started a long time ago. So now when I get on stage, and I see a big crowd, I always remember, we got this. They came here to see you. A lot of the majority of them done heard you before, even if they've never heard me, even if it's the first time they're hearing of me or seeing me or interacting with me. I know that I'm booked for a reason. The organizers believe in me. They've done heard me. They know what they're going to get with me. And that just gives me that permission to get on stage and do me and do what I got to do and have my fun. All right? So that's where you're going to start. Start where you are comfortable as a base, and you're going to work from there. The last thing I want is you not creating content because you're like, I can't get past the fear of doing video. Great. Don't start there. Do something else. Just don't be in that position where you're not creating content. You're not putting thoughts out there. Because in today's world that we live in, the people who are gaining the most business for whatever their business is, the people who are generating the most opportunities and creating the most revenue streams for their businesses are those who are putting themselves out there, the organizations who are creating content, connecting with their audience, being the leaders in their industry. All of those things in today's world require content. And they require you to be putting yourselves out there, or they require your organization to be putting yourself out there. So if you can't start with video for whatever the reason is, no problem. Make sure you're doing something else. But start where you are comfortable. And that's all I have to say on the matter. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like the podcast or rate the podcast on whatever platform you're listening in on, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You guys check out the new Digipreneur.fm website. I rebuilt it last weekend from the ground up. Go check out the new website. Don't forget to subscribe to the email list or the push notification list to keep up to date with all things happening with the podcast. Don't forget, if you really enjoy the Digipreneur FM podcast, please leave a review for me. The reviews continue to help grow the podcast all over the world. Anytime people are going to check out a new podcast, they always look at the reviews first. So again, if you enjoy the content, if you want to support your boy, please drop a review for me. That goes a long way. Don't forget to check out the Keron Rose, KERONROSE, link to that in the show notes. Check out the website to learn more about building your digital presence and monetizing your platforms. And last but not least, as I said, go check out the Digipreneur.fm website to stay up to date. Happy Hump Day, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day and take care.
You've been listening to the Digiboss, Keron Rose. We hope your notepad was filled after this episode. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. The learning doesn't stop, folks. And to make sure you don't miss any gems from the Digiboss, go over and follow him on all social media platforms at Keron Rose. Folks, don't just sit there with a notepad. We need you to implement at least one thing into your business before the next episode. That's the only way your business levels up. Thanks for listening to Digipreneur FM. Now go be great.